Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, everything really. Depending on the guest, we talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. You will recognize my guest from a show that recently dropped on Netflix called Teenage Bounty Hunters. We're with Devon Hales. Devon, welcome to Popternative.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I mean, it's kind of funny because, you know, you guys work on this show and then it's like 2-3 days before the show drops on Netflix. It's kind of like the calm before the storm. What was that like a little bit for you with the cast?
It was really crazy. We had waited so long for this show to come out, and a lot of us had to keep it, a secret for a long time, and had such an amazing experience making this show. And so I think, especially for actors like me who had not worked on something this big, it was hard to really fathom what was about to happen. We just had no idea. Mm-hmm. We've seen the way other Netflix programs have blown up. We hoped that it was gonna be well received, but we just had no idea. So it was fun to wait, but it was a little scary.
Absolutely. The reception has been amazing. We'll get to Teenage Bounty Hunters, but specifically you, Devon. I mean, storytelling, acting, performing. When did that all kind of start for you? Like, when did you decide that's something you want to do?
It didn't happen, I think, until a little later. Acting was not something that I was involved in growing up. It wasn't until I was in high school that I got involved with theater. That was my way in. Yep. And I grew up singing, and even getting into it in high school was sort of an accident. I joined choir, and then the guy who ran choir in high school became the head of the drama department, and just sort of encouraged those of us in choir to audition for the musicals. Mm-hmm. And so I had no idea what I was getting into. And even when I decided that I was going to go to college for theater, I wasn't completely convinced that it was going to be my career. Thankfully, I had a very supportive mom who, in the least stage mommy way possible, was like, no, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. So I got really lucky in that respect. And it took me a little while in college to find my footing. But once I found the right school and was around other people who really wanted to pursue acting as a legitimate career, I was like, all right, let's do it.
But I think theater is also like where you learn your craft too. Like, I think people don't realize that. That's kind of like the stepping stone for like the TV and film screen.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely can be. It's not the only way to do it, but I'm very thankful for my theater training. And I came, to on camera even later than theater. I didn't know a lot of adult actors who had on-camera careers. It was mostly just theater. And I didn't take any classes for it in college, but a lot of actors in Atlanta do a million different things to try to make a living as actors. So a lot of those people that were mentoring me had agents and were doing a lot of day player stuff. And so the fact that Atlanta has really grown into this community where we're able to say, no, as Atlanta actors, we can handle the bigger stuff. We can tell these stories, has been pretty amazing.
No, absolutely. For sure. So Teenage Bounty Hunters, your character, one can make an argument that she is the villain. She is the not nice person. However, you can put in a narrative that your character is misunderstood. Talk a little bit about your character and talk a little bit about what was like playing a character like that.
Sure. It was a dream. It's so fun. It's so fun to play the quote villain, even if she is, has has a lot more to her than that. She does and says some things that are not nice. Like, there's no arguing about that. So it's really fun. And I think, a lot of times villains have a really great arc, and it's fun to learn their backstory and why they are the way they are. And yeah, I think something that a lot of people don't know, about the way that this show worked is we kind of learned along the way as we were shooting, who these people were. It wasn't like they handed us a packet, on the first day and said, here's everything that's going to happen. And like, as a theater person, I'm very used to that. I'm used to knowing A to Z what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And so it was really good for me to have to just sit back and roll with the punches. And like, yeah, it was just a really amazing journey. And I think it's fun to surprise people. April has a lot of surprises. And yeah, just learning that she is a fully fledged human being, has a full emotional spectrum. And there's a reason that she does and says the things that she does.
And we have to give a shout out to your crew, your squad. We got to give a shout out to, Charity Cervantes and Eric Grace. I mean, the crew, it's the crew.
The Holy Trinity, which is not just something that we made up. Kathleen Jordan, our creator, it's in the script. So yes, we're very proud of that moniker, the Holy Trinity. Yeah, I would be April Stevens, and I personally would be nothing without them, especially in those early days where we had no idea what was going on, what we were doing. Yeah, having two brilliant comedic actors alongside me was great.
It's not just me though. Like Eric, like the way he says certain things in the show, like it's just like it makes me laugh. Like his delivery of certain lines just get me every time.
Yes, genuinely two of the funniest, sassiest people I have ever met. Like the things they do on the show are not an accident. That's them. That's why they have those jobs.
The two things. One is kind of subtle. Like not many people talk about it, but like. The one where like they're talking about, your dad's trial and everything, and they're like, it's personal. You know what I mean? That kills me. You know what I mean? But also the one in like the first.
No, when we were shooting that scene, I was so focused on my own stuff. I was trying to deliver the "you're gonna have to kill a pigeon" line without laughing. So watching that scene, what Maddie does, what Charity does, what Eric does, just brilliant. I think it's one of the best scenes in the show. Like Charity's pen drop at the end, it's all flawless.
But just his delivery too. Like I don't know what you're doing, but it's just his delivery of everything. But even in the first episode when we're introduced to the Holy Trinity, right, where he's just like, read the room, Hannah-B. For the love of God, read the room. Like just like I was talking to him about that. Like that line. People don't really talk about it that much, but like there's some good lines there for sure.
There are some gems that people on their like fourth and fifth watches are really starting to uncover and make gifs of and all of this and like isolate them. And it brings me so much joy because it's hard to absorb all of those gems on a first watch.
Absolutely. And we talked about the Holy Trinity, but like I do want to say like the chemistry between Maddie and Angelica I think is something that really kind of makes the show special. Did you kind of notice that as well too when you were kind of rewatching it?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And they've talked a lot about, how they knew from the first moment that they had something that really worked. But yeah, they were such amazing team captains from day one. Like you could very easily have two stars of this show who wanted nothing to do with anybody, for any reason. And yeah, from the table read, they were so welcoming and so warm and so bubbly. And, I obviously got to know them over the course of shooting the show, Maddie much more than Angelica. But yeah, watching the show, there is something, not only are they hilarious together and have such great natural banter.
It's natural banter. That's what I'm about to say. Yeah, it's natural.
Yeah, you couldn't write that. There is no way. If your leads didn't have that, you can't just like pull it out of thin air. But also the heart like that they found is just there were some moments that I was like, "Oh my god, you really got me." And you know, I those were all surprises. You know, there was a huge portion of the show that I knew nothing about, because we just were on set for our stuff and that was pretty much it. So, yeah, the warmth and the genuine sisterly bond that they had is just so beautiful.
Absolutely. Moving away towards Teenage Bounty Hunters for a bit, there's often like I like to ask I call you all storytellers. I like kind of picking your brain a little bit about certain things. I'm noticing in the entertainment industry right now certain trends of genres that are becoming very popular and very like quote unquote mainstream that weren't kind of popular as much before, like the nerd culture, geek culture, superhero stuff, and of course, like the horror films. Like whether you're a fan of horror films or not, you can't. You have to admit that those are very popular genres right now. Have you noticed that as kind of an actor that that's like kind of the hot thing right now, like nerd culture, geek culture, and horror?
Oh, yeah. Like I know nothing about superhero culture, but and for a long time was not really interested in it because it was just such a specific like
Hmm.
boys world
Hmm.
thing. I mean, not to generalize, but a lot of like toxic masculine stuff. And the way that it's obviously is super popular right now, and I think the ways that people are learning to tell these stories in something that's accessible no matter what your other interests are is really fascinating. And a lot of it is dark, but like that's a reflection of the world that we live in right now. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, the fact that they're drawing in people like me who maybe never had interest in anything like that is pretty impressive. And
Yeah.
horror, yeah, is really popular. I It's not my thing, but I think something like Get Out, for
Yep.
example, like I went to see that in theaters and had the time of my life. And yeah, just such an extraordinary way to tell these stories.
It would be cool to see you in a horror film. So casting directors, let's get that'd be cool. I'm sure that'd be a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah, it would be. I think I would do okay shooting it. I wouldn't get too scared. Yeah, it would be fascinating. I do audition for things that have sort of a horror undertone, but yeah, let's make it happen.
um, I want to kind of know. I was talking like I asked Charity and Eric this. You know, I was able like Charity and I touched on it a little bit more than Eric did, but like what were kind of moments I'm talking about like the fan reception, like your social media, because a lot of your social media right now, and it's natural the first couple of months, like there's a lot of followers coming in and it's overwhelming. But what was kind of the moment where you kind of noticed that you had something special with the fans? Was it kind of like after day one? Your following got up? Did you get a specific message from someone specifically that you were surprised? Like, what was kind of the moment, like the climactic moment where you're like, wow, this is cool? You know what I mean?
Um, yeah, I think even before social media really took off, um, yeah, we were already getting messages, Maddie and I, about from young fans who were able to really articulately share with us the ways in which Maddie and I's storyline resonated with them. And that was only like 2 or 3 days in where we felt like we don't even know, is anybody watching this show? We have no idea. And that has continued and blossomed. And it's just been, yeah, it's been a really incredible thing. Obviously, the numbers are cool and like the the amount of fan interaction is really fun. But to know that people appreciate this story on a different level, on possibly a deeper level, um, is really incredible. And Maddie and I were texting back and forth like, oh my God, this person just sent me this message. And like, can you believe that this is resonating? And, we hoped that it would. We believed in the story that we were telling, but we just had no idea. So
Was it kind of, because you and Maddie are really good friends, not on the show though. Is that a kind of interesting, fun dynamic where like you're against each other in the show, but in real life, like you're good friends? Like I'm sure the fans will enjoy that kind of little caveat as well.
oh yeah, it's so fun. And I think it was also fun to read messages not in real time, but as people watched the show and their opinions change of our relationship. Um, yeah, it was really fun. And it's nice to be able to share, the backstory and just talk about what an amazing time we had making it. And that was really what sort of got us through just the whirlwind of making the show is our connection and being able to look at each other and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe that we get to tell this story. So yeah, it's really special.
Amazing. And it's really cool too because I mean it's like Teenage Bounty Hunters kind of dropped on Netflix kind of like not during kind of like full time, like it wasn't like quarantine like per se, like things are open right now, but it's still kind of, I think, kind of like in the 5-6 month kind of window where I think a lot of these shows are going to be grouped in as kind of like the COVID shows, the quarantine shows. You know what I mean? Have you thought about that?
It's It obviously, there are so many things that are so bizarre and so devastating about this time. But yeah, it's nice that people are able to say, thank God that this exists because I really needed something that I could binge watch or watch 5 times that was going to take my mind off of where we are and what we're going through.
An escape essentially.
An escape for sure. And yeah, obviously we had no idea when we were making the show that it was going to be released during a quarantine. We had no idea. So it's crazy to think about how, things changed in the blink of an eye. And even, at the beginning of March, when we thought we knew what the air date was going to be, we didn't know that things were going to be different in a matter of weeks. So
because I remember like the beginning of quarantine, like when Outer Banks got released on Netflix, that, and I've interviewed quite a few of the cast, that was wild. Like,
they achieved something untouchable.
I mean, the show got released Friday, and then on Tuesday, like 3 days, half the cast have like 60,000+ followers. Like, it was nuts.
I know. I know 2 people on the show, and so I was following some of their social media accounts.
Nick Cirillo, right? Who was in Teenage Bounty Hunters.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Jennings. Yeah, Jennings is in the Outer Banks now. He's a bad boy. And I know Caroline Arapoglu, who plays Rose Cameron. So yeah, I was linked into some of their social media accounts sort of before it dropped. And yeah, to watch that ascent, I was like, y'all go ahead because that's not for me. And I'm really happy that you're the ones handling it.
But yeah, it was like, it's massive. Like, it's already like one of the biggest shows of all time for that kind of genre. It's kind of hard, like, because I feel like shows like Teenage Bounty Hunters and Outer Banks, I mean, the demographic is kind of like teenagers, young adults, but it's kind of hard to say like I don't like when people say like teen drama, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, it's difficult, you know what I mean? But it's tailored to kind of teenagers and young adults, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And that, without giving too much away, it's something that I tried to sort of bait people with, because I think our show does really speak to a teen audience. It's so fun. They are how we're gonna hopefully, get some more seasons, like the power of the youth. It's unstoppable. But something that I'm really proud of in our show is that we have adult characters on the show who have pretty amazing arcs and are treated like real human beings and not like dumb adults. And I think the care that the creators and the writers room took with these adults is really special, and I think in the long run could help us, bring in a larger audience, which would be great.
No, absolutely. Well, Devon, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. This was a blast.
Of course. Thank you so, so much.
Of course. So plug away. Where can people follow you on social media? And they can, of course, watch season 1 of Teenage Bounty Hunters right now on Netflix.
Yes, I think they should. I am devonhales.jpg on Instagram.
Love it. I was just going to say, I was going to bring that up. I forgot, like, even if afterwards, like, great handle. Love it.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty proud of it. And I believe that I am Hales_Devon on Twitter. But
well, you gotta give us the backstory of the .jpg. Like, is there even a backstory?
There's not a backstory. I was like, well, I mean, the backstory is some other Devon Hales at some point stole my freaking name. So
I love it though. It's good. It's good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not as bold as Maddie. She is the Maddie P, and I'm not a the Devon Hales. I'm just
.jpg.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, congratulations to you and the cast and crew of Teenage Bounty Hunters, because it's amazing to see. And I hope the momentum just keeps going. Like, it's a wave you're riding right now, the whole cast, and I hope you guys continue to be able to ride that wave.
Thank you so much. I hope so too.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You can catch Devon Hales and Teenage Bounty Hunters, which is available to stream right now on Netflix. Until next time, this is Devon Hales and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.